Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video, and we'll be doing some past papers from 2019 May June on trigonometry, okay. To see what different ideas does the examiner use, okay. So I'm not gonna solve the whole past paper or the whole questions. I'm gonna take out the parts that concern us, and as we go on the videos and learn more about math, we're gonna do past papers on these parts, okay. So over here I'm doing paper 3 variant 2 May June 2019. So I went out and searched out for a site that has past papers on it, and so I found this site called Egypt IG Student Room. Okay, so it's over here, and they have this organized system of past papers which I like, and I have downloaded some and went through searching for ideas in trigonometry. So let's start by doing this, okay. So as I said, May June 19 paper 3 variant 2, okay. Over here, so we're gonna page 13, okay. So let's round the page, okay. And part D, the diagram shows a right angle triangle ABC, okay. She's asking to calculate the length of AB. Easy enough. So we have this side, so let's use Pythagoras theorem. So AB squared equals to AC squared plus BC squared. AB equals to square root of, now let's substitute, 7.4 square plus 2.3 square. Now let's write down this on the calculator and see what the answer is. 2.3 square gives us 7.749, 7.749, okay. So easy enough question, right? Now to the next question. So this is actually from May June 2019, paper 1 variant 3, okay. Over here it says the vertical flagpole PD, which is this one, stands on a horizontal ground and is held by two ropes, AD and CD. So these two are the ropes and this is the flagpole, okay. Now AD, which is this one, is 58 meters, and BC, which is this one, it's 10.7 meters, and angle DAP is 38 degrees. Using trigonometry, calculate BD, okay. So we're gonna use trigonometrical ratios. So we're gonna say so ka tua, and he's asking for BD, so that's an opposite and that's a hypotenuse, right? And that's an adjacent, but we are concerned with these two because we have the value of this one and we need the value of this one, and we have already the angle. So opposite, okay, hypotenuse, okay. So we're gonna use sine. So sine 38 equals to opposite, which is BD over 15. So BD equals 15 sine 38 equals to 9.23, rounded up to 5, so 9.235, okay. Now on part B it says calculate CD, which is this one. So now we have a triangle that looks something like that. So over here we get BD, which is 9.235, and we have 10.7 meters, which is C, and he's asking us to find this one. Easy. We say CD squared equals BD squared plus BC squared. So CD square root B D, which is 9.235 squared, plus BC, which is 10.7 squared. Now let's start that on the calculator. 9.235 squared plus 10.7 squared equals to 14.134. So CD equals to 14.134 meters. Okay, so 1.134. Okay, so this question was question number 24, page 10, May June 19, paper 1, variant 3. Okay, here's another question. So it says calculate the area of the triangle. So that's easy. We didn't take how to calculate the area, but I'm going to explain it by the way. Anyway, it's just something that's easy, and you have to know it as your basis from the syllabus. And this question is from May June 19, paper 1, variant 2, question 12 and question 13. So in triangle, you can calculate this area by this formula: half base, half multiply the base multiply the height. So this height multiplied by the base multiplied by half gives you the area. Okay, so half base, which is 8.4, height, which is 3.5, gives you half multiplied by 0.4 multiplied by 3.5 gives you 14.7 centimeters square. So 14.7. Okay, now let's come to trigonometry. So question 13 says the diagram shows a right angle triangle. So it's right angle triangle. It says calculate the value of x. Now the value of x is an angle, so we say that this one is opposite. Okay, so that's opposite to it, and this one is hypotenuse and this one is the adjacent. Okay, now we have these two values, so we have the opposite and the adjacent. So we write, we have the hypotenuse and I have the adjacent. So we write our formula. So K2 and let's out, and we have adjacent and we have hypotenuse, so we're going to use cosine. So we say cosine x equals adjacent, which is 6.2, over the hypotenuse, which is 23. Okay, now x equals to cosine inverse, or cosine to the power of -1, or arc cosine. So 6.2 over 23, 6.2 over 23, right? So x equals to, let's start that on the calculator. So shift cosine 6.2 over 23, close the bracket, equals to, so x equals to 74.36, round that up to 2. Okay, so that is the answer. So let's write here degrees, don't forget to write degrees. So x equal to 74.362 degrees. Okay, now to the next question. This is May June 19, paper 3, variant 1, page 9, part D and part E. So part D is just some angle calculation. It's not trigonometry. It's just something that's normal and something that's easy. By the way, it doesn't need a whole lesson or whole video. So I'm gonna explain it fast, and then we're gonna go move on to part E of the question. So part D says that in the diagram AG and AF are straight lines. So AG is a straight line and AF is a straight line. Line BC, which is this one, is parallel to line DE, as it says over here. It says find angle CED. And the way we're gonna do this, because these two are parallel, so this means that the line cutting these two lines have the same angle. What does that mean? Is that if this angle is 28, that means that this angle is also 28, and the angles opposite to each other are also the same. So this angle is also 28, and this angle is also 28. Okay, so that means that CED is 28 degrees, and the reason for that is that CED equals this angle over here, which is ACB. ACB equals 28 degrees. So easy enough. Now you just calculate BR, which is this one. So we're moving now to part E of the question. Let's just calculate BR. We directly use Pythagoras theorem. It says BR root 21 square plus 28 square. So I'm just substituting directly because we have we're gonna use how to use the rules, so we're gonna just use it directly to make it faster. Okay, 21 square plus 28 square, and that gives us 35. Okay, so PR is 35 centimeters. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Okay, now we're in May-June 2019, paper 2, variant 1, question 7. Okay, so in question 7, the diagram shows a right angle triangle. Calculate the value of x. So he wants the value of x. So over here, the side is called opposite. This guy is called the hypotenuse. This is the adjacent. So we have the opposite, we have the hypotenuse. We gotta find the opposite and we have the hypotenuse. So we're gonna use sine. So sine 35 equals opposite, which is x, and hypotenuse, which is 12. Hence x equals to 12 multiplied by sine 35. Okay, calculate that by the calculator. 12 sine 35 equals to 6.882. 6.882. Easy enough, right? Okay, next question. So that's actually a nice question, by the way, which is from May-June 2019, paper 1, variant 1. In this question, we're going to use sine and cosine rule. Okay, so let's start with the question. So it says here, part A, explain why triangle ABC, which is this one, and triangle PQR, which is this one, are similar. Same angles to different sides. So they have the same angles but different sides. So similar stuff tend to have the same angles but different sides. Okay, now let's calculate side or he says find side AC, which is this one. So we have three angles and a side. Okay, now we need two angles and a side to find to use a sine rule, and we need two sides and an angle to use cosine rule, and we also need two sides and an angle to use sine rule. However, over here we have angles, so we have enough angles to choose from. So we have two angles and we have a side, so we can safely say we're gonna use sine rule, right? Okay, now how can we use sine rule? We are finding a side, so sides are on top and angles are on bottom. Okay, now let's write down the sides. The first side we have, which is 6. Okay, now the angle in front is 40, so we're going to say sine 40 equals to, now the side that we want to find is this one, right? Okay, so we're going to say x, which is AC, so x refers to AC. Okay, now we're going to write down the angle in front of it, which is this one over here, which is angle 75, so sine 75. Now it's easy enough, so we can find angle, so we can find x or we can find AC. So AC equals x equals to 6 multiplied by sine 75 over sine 40. Let's start that in the calculator and find out what the value is. So over sine 40 equals to, so x, or as you can say AC, equals 9.016. Okay, so AC, let's write centimeters, so 9.016, and that's how it's done. Okay, now to our next question. I think I put in that one by mistake, because it's not trigonometry, it's just areas. Okay, however, it's easy. I've just said how to calculate an area for triangle. So we're going to calculate the area for this triangle, which is half is multiply height, and we're going to find the area. I think I solved this one before, but it's okay, I'm going to do it again to be safe, to be on the safe side, which gives you 14.7 centimeters squared, so 14.7. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, this question is a little bit complicated question, and we're gonna use all our knowledge of trigonometry. I mean, not all of it, but we're gonna use some brains in this question. Okay. So in this question, I'm gonna read out a question, but before I read, I want to say something. Some question like this in trigonometry, if you couldn't solve part 1, you can solve part 2. Okay, so you must solve part 1. So if you lose the first 5 marks, you're gonna use the second 3 marks. Okay. Now let's read the question. Okay. In the diagram, BC is a vertical wall standing on a horizontal ground AB. B is a point on AB where AD equals 58 meters. The angle of elevation of C from A is 26. So this is called the angle of elevation. As I explained, this angle over here is called the angle of depression, and this angle of elevation. So he says the angle of elevation from C to A is 26. So he's talking about this angle over here. Okay. And the angle of elevation from C to D is 72 degrees. It says the first part of the question says show that AC equals 76.7 meters, correct one decimal place. Okay, now how are we gonna go about solving this question? Now we're gonna say that, you know, as we can say that part of this question, so if there are two triangles, so one is this one, the large one, which is a right angle triangle, and the other one is the small one, which is also a right angle triangle, and he's asking us to find AC, so we're gonna write a rule to find AC. Now AC, now if you use Pythagoras theorem or hypotenuse theorem or whatever, now we're gonna say AC squared equals to AB squared plus BC squared. Okay, now we're gonna make this in terms of AC. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Easy. We're gonna say BC. Now first of all we're gonna find BC. Now BC, to find it, we're gonna say that we're gonna call this, or we're gonna call this DB. I'm sorry, DB. So this question is a little bit complicated. And that's AC. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use the large triangle to find BC. Now I'm gonna write so ka tua, and to this angle that's an opposite and that's an hypotenuse, so we're gonna use sine rule. Okay, so sine 26 equals to opposite, which is BC, over hypotenuse, which is AC. Now we can say that BC equals to AC sine 26, right? So that's our first equation. Now we have found BC in terms of AC. Now what we're gonna do is find AB in terms of AC. How we're gonna do this is by saying that AB equals 58 plus DB, and to find BD would be saying that we're gonna say so ka tua, and this is opposite to the angle, so we're gonna use the small triangle to find DB. So this is opposite and that's adjacent, so let's write down adjacent. Okay, so opposite and adjacent, so we're gonna use tan, so that's opposite and adjacent. We're gonna say that tan, so we're finding now BD, so tan 72 equals to opposite, which is BC, over the adjacent, which is DB. Okay, now DB equals BC over tan 72, right? And we know from the first equation that BC equals AC sine 26. We're gonna substitute this equation plus this part over here and this one into this equation, so it should look something like that. So AC squared equals to, open bracket, so AB equals 58 plus, now we found that DB equals BC, and BC equals AC sine 26 over tan 72. So we're gonna write AC sine 26 over tan 72 squared plus, now BC equals AC sine 26. So we're going to say AC sine 26 squared. Okay. Now we can open the brackets and solve it, and we're going to find that AC equals this answer, or we're going to make sure it's correct by using the solve button on our calculator. Okay. So how are we going to do this? We're gonna type this part as it is on the calculator, and we're gonna do shift solve. How? So I'm gonna say alpha x squared. I'm just gonna say that this AC is called x. I'm just assuming that on the calculator equals to. Now I'm gonna say alpha equal or calc open bracket 558 plus alpha x sine 26 close the bracket over tan 72 close the bracket all squared plus alpha x sine 26. Okay, close the bracket all squared. Now what you're gonna do is just gonna shift solve, and you're gonna write a positive number like this, because anything that's squared will give you two values. The two values could be positive, negative, and positive, negative, and negative. But in this case, we're gonna assume that the value that's going to come is negative and positive. So we're gonna ignore the negative value, and we wanna use the positive value. So that's why we're writing a positive number. So the calculator considers on the positive side of the numbers, not on the negative side. And we're gonna hit equal. We're gonna wait a couple of moments. Now I've done this before, so by the way, and just to check the calculator can calculate it, and it does. So now we have the answer. So the answer is that AC equals 76 point to the correct one decimal place, so it's gonna be 7 meters. So we are doing it right. So now we get the full mark, 5 out of 5. So that's how it's done. Okay. Now over here it says calculate BD. We have calculated that BD from here, from this part, BD equals to AC sine 26 over tan 75. So that's BD. And on the first part, we have calculated that AC is equal to 76.7. So we can directly substitute and say 76.7 sine multiplied by sine 26 over tan 75, which equals to, now I'm going to say that 76.7 sine 26 over tan 75. Okay, now that gives us to 9.009. We can round this up. To 9.01, and the answer is 9.01 meters. Okay, and that's the end of our video. I hope you all be well, and thank you.